You get down? Wait, is that thing over there that bug bite? No, you hit your head on the thing. Is that part of your hair?
All right, so I've gone ahead and started the meeting. I've started to record it. I'm going to keep the Kahoot link up there for a few minutes, so you won't see my presentation until we really need to get to that point that you can see it. You should be joining our Kahoot and getting ready. We're going to do that as an activity in a few minutes. I did want to go over our general business portion of the meeting. First of all, I want to welcome everybody to the meeting. This is our last regular training meeting. We'll talk in a minute about what our next meeting is, but I wanted to go ahead and get started. Of course, our slogan for the year, or our theme for the year, is take care of your crew. So hopefully you guys, your first couple games as you work, you're working hard, taking care of your crew, getting good pre-games in, having good discussions, and having good games. So that's a big part of all that. And, being in training and participating and doing things is also important. All right, so I'm going to move on to our general business portion. Mike Hernandez, the minutes from the last meeting. Go ahead. Just give us the highlights.
Hold on, I got to pull it up. I didn't know you wanted me to do that.
Right. Rock and roll.
Leave no man behind.
Where's it?
Or child, or other child, or their new friend, or your giant nephews and their giant dad, or a horse, or a horse's brother for that matter. The room for a 9,000-pound towing forward expedition.
Did I send it to you, Greg?
I think you did.
All right, here, I got it. Hold on. Highlights from it. JP explained to make sure you had your availability up to date. We had Sean Murphy talking about our pregame meetings and different things to make our pre-games better. Talked about having better communication with players and coaches. JP and Frank Fry talked about that, and that's pretty much the main highlights of it. I sent I just need the meetings to be approved by the membership. That way we can throw them on file and throw them on the website.
Okay, so can we get a motion to approve the minutes? Somebody click their microphone button. All right, I make a motion. Any seconds?
I'm a second that motion.
Very good. Anybody opposed? Brett Townsend seconded too. Thank you, Brett. Anybody opposed? If nobody's opposed, the minutes are accepted. Dean, the treasurer's report.
Current balance, $3,106. I sent out 8 play day invoices, and I have 4 of them paid. Hey, Mike, I think you were supposed to give me one today.
I have a check. I have a check for you here.
Oh, you do? Okay. I'm assuming that Newark Charter and Penn's was canceled. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So the total play days billed were $1,525 towards the banquet. I still need to get the foundation invoice out, Greg, you and I, or whoever's, so we can get that.
Okay. Yeah, I got a bunch of stuff I got to work on tomorrow to get to you, and then we'll sit down and talk about that. We'll get that done.
And then we just, we need to get the Zima stuff resolved. with the shirts.
Yep. And I have most of that here. So I just a matter with things have been crazy, but we'll get that done.
That's it.
All right. Next, Mike, anything on the mentorship program? Anything you want to mention? Mike Wilbur?
Everyone should have made contact with their partners, and we just encourage everyone to stay in touch, especially early part of the season, and then as we split up during that season, so that if you've got any questions that come up about any rules, situations, you have someone to go to. So please make those contacts so make it work.
Very good. Thank you, Mike. If you don't, so the mentorship program was for kind of some of our second, fourth, or fifth year guys. I think everybody who wanted to be in it is in it. Applicants will be put in that next year. And, like Mike said, make sure you're making contact with your mentor. It's more than just a guy to work a couple games with. It's, somebody to get to know. It's a good relationship in the group. You should have a couple games early on with that person. If you don't, contact Mike and he'll work through JP and myself to get that resolved. All right, Mike Hernandez, youth lacrosse.
The season starts this weekend. I sent out an email about 30 minutes ago asking for availability for the guys who have told me they would like to work. There's pretty much games Saturdays and Sundays. Every weekend this year, except for the Good Friday for Easter break. So if you're available to work, just let me know. Just remember that JP games come first. If JP doesn't need you, then you're more welcome to work for me.
All right. And then I know JP had sent out an email about Joe Fertoni looking for some guys for the league where the wings and whatnot play. Just refer to that email, contact him directly. But do remember, that Mike, if you have a commitment with Mike, that certainly comes first. That's a commitment to the DLOA. But if you don't, there's another opportunity for some games. And then finally, before JP goes with his assigners report, I want to mention one thing. So there's lots of lacrosse on TV. Tuesday night, 6 p.m. ESPNU. Denver plays Princeton, which is always a big game. Two top 20 teams, and there is a relationship there between Coach Tierney and Princeton, and quite a history. So it's usually a pretty good game. And JP will be one of the officials in that game. ESPNU, 6 o'clock. Make sure you have your TiVo, DVR, whatever you're doing set so you can watch it. It'll be on the ESPN app later. And everybody make sure you have JP's number and that you're giving him play-by-play evaluation throughout the game. I'm sure it'll all be positive and good. All right, JP.
You took his thunder away.
Well, it's my job. JP, the signers report.
Yes, thank you, Greg. Guys, I know you're tired of the angry grams already, but please, 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 I can't stress it enough. You have to have your availability up to date. It has not been easy this season, and no, I'm not done assigning. There's still about 150 games out there. The turnbacks this year are more than ever before. As sitting at about 40% turnback rate, guys. That's crazy. That's just not good. And I understand we are down numbers, and that has a lot to do with it, but the turnbacks are just coming fast and furious. So you'll see that there have been lots of changes just for the next 2 days. If you have games Monday and Tuesday, you're going to need to go back in and re-accept some of your games. Some guys have new games. That's the way it's going to be all season. There are several, just this week, there are many, many open slots that have to be filled because of turnbacks. You got to work with me, guys. If you can work, you're going to work. If you're not working, send me a text or send me an email that says, hey, I have these open dates, and that just helps me out more. But more than any of that, you have to have your availability filled in. I understand things come up, and that's fine. But if you have to travel for work, if you have an anniversary, a birthday, something. Please get those dates blocked out now. College guys, if you have practice, whether it's for football, baseball, lacrosse, if you have a game, please get those dates blocked out as soon as possible. It just makes things easier for me. Another thing that you're going to have to make sure I'm doing the best I can, when you send your email, confirm the location and the time of the game. Because Arbiter and Website for Sports are not getting along this year, you'll see that best example is Postlethwaite, or however you say it, the middle school Postlethwaite. I say Postlethwaite. I don't know how you say it. It says location, Postlethwaite Gym. I have no idea where they play. When you contact the AD, make sure you know the location or the address of the school. There's no other option for me to put in for a location except for gym number 1 for that school. I can't enter another one. It won't let me. I've tried several times. You're just going to have to make sure you contact the coach or the AD. I don't even think there's a coach in there. Contact the AD and figure out where they're playing. I think
they usually play right on the field, right behind the school. I can't imagine them playing anywhere else. Once a year they play at the high school when they play Pfeiffer, but other than that,
yeah, that's just an example.
School's
My point,
right on the corner. It's Postlethwaite, I think is how you pronounce it.
Postle, whatever it is. My point is, it's just like you'll see the JV game might say, Smyrna High School, and the varsity game may say Smyrna Stadium. That's because at a certain time, the girls may be playing not in the stadium, but they've already taken the site that I want to use. My point is, Website for Sports and Arbiter are not getting along because of the different sites, the different names of the schools. You just have to be diligent when you contact the school and say, I have a 4:00 game. Location is Smyrna High School. Just confirming, make sure we're all on the same page. You just have to be diligent and make sure, that's all. Other than that, again, I can't stress enough, your availability has to be up to date. That's it. I'm good.
All right. JP, thank you. I've taken the Kahoot screen off for just a minute. I'll put it back up. If you've logged in on your phone, when your phone wakes up, you'll be right back in. You should see my PowerPoint now with our agenda and some other things. If you're not seeing that, somebody just tell me. With assigning, again, if it's something please, for JP's sake and for everybody's sake, go ahead and make sure you have your blocks in. And if you don't know how to make your blocks, call me and I'll teach you how. We can do a Zoom meeting. I can do something to make sure you're blocked. There's nothing more frustrating as an assigner to have to reassign games over and over and over again. From a time perspective, from a money perspective, he's only paid one time for that game. And I know JP doesn't care about the money, but when he's got to assign a game 6 times, that's not really fair to him. The other problem, too, is if he assigns a game on Monday, then finally you get around to turning it back on Wednesday. He reassigns it. The next guy doesn't get it, and eventually you run out of time. So please do that, and be fair to him, and that should be good. All right, next part. So this is our last online meeting. Appreciate everybody logging in. The reason I wanted you guys to do that was what we were finding was, JP, help Larry Gilmore get on the crew app, please. He says he can't get on there.
All right.
What we were finding when we went back to kind of take attendance and give you guys credit for coming, which we need both for our requirements and for your U.S. lacrosse certification, was if you logged in on a phone number, it just put a phone number in there. So we had all these random phone numbers. So this way, by you pre-registering, it just gives us your name and it makes it easier to do attendance. The meetings will still all be recorded and put up for everybody to watch and all that, but that's the reason for that. Our final meeting of the year is April 14th. It's at the barracks number 2, where we had our first meeting. It is the election meeting. I don't know if Frank is on here, but he will be sending out some emails about nominations and voting and other things like that to get us, get you all set for voting. Myself and anybody on the board now kind of has to walk away from that because it's certainly my intention to run again, and everybody else, and we shouldn't be involved. So Frank will be handling all that. If he has anything to say, he can open his mic and say it. Otherwise, you'll see the emails, and that's our election night. No, Frank. Okay. Other important things, banquet and golf outing. Mike Barlotta will be sending stuff out about this very soon. Please, I don't care if your kid has a game that day, be at the banquet. You know, I don't care if you have to go to work, if you have a funeral, bar mitzvah. Okay, this is our signature event of the year. We have a lot of fun with it. And also the golf outing is good. Mike does a great job with it. It's just a good way to get out and hang out and shoot the crap with guys and play golf if you like to play golf. So I might ride around on a golf cart this year. And then these other two events on the 10th and the 11th are the foundation banquet. I know myself and Mike Barlotta go because we give out the Sportsmanship Award. Several other officials go. If you're interested in that, I'll have more information later. And then the 11th is the Senior All-Star Game, and we kind of open it up and provide officials and try to have more officials and players. So that's a fun thing. So, you know, pencil those one in and you'll have fun. Requirements we still got to get out. DIAA stuff. The concussion course, Mike has sent stuff out to guys who need to take the concussion course. You take it at nfhslearn.org. Once you go there, it's pretty easy. The course is called Concussion for Sports. You take the course. At the end, you get a certificate. Send that to dloalax@gmail.com. If you haven't done it, we need to get that done. That's an important requirement. It's pretty basic what our requirements are. If we think a kid has an issue, he got hit in the head or whatever, we refer him to the coach, but we need to understand what's going on with that. If I know one guy was having a hard time getting into the course and whatnot, there's when you go to NFHS Learn, there's a link for help. Go to help and call them, and they can work you through all that. The test is open on the Arbiter to the April 14th. It's a terrible test. I've had a bunch of guys send me screenshots of questions with no answers or 3 answers, and you know that are right, but no, no reply, or like all the questions. It's not a great test. Not to brag, but it's been a long time since I got less than 100. And, you know, I mean, I cheat a lot and study, but, or use my book, but there were just questions there that were flat out wrong. But take the test. I don't need to see anything. Mike doesn't need to see anything unless you took the test with another association. And then just send us your certificate or your results, and we can forward those on, and you'll get credit. But if you take it through DIA Central Hub, we don't need your requirements. You cannot see my thing, huh, Chris? It says you can.
I hope we can't see it.
Chris, can you see my my PowerPoint now? Can you guys see a black thing that says DIA requirements?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. Crew app. I know one guy said he needs access to the Crew app. Everybody should be on that. I do. We do have several groups. You should be in the You Make the Call group. Our applicants have a group. It's a great way to contact guys. You can contact your crew. You know your crew for a game. You can text somebody individually in the group without having to find their number. We've been putting the You Make the Call stuff on there. I know there's been some confusion and controversy, but I think it's helping. I hope it is. If you have any feedback, please give that to myself. We're going to continue to put videos up there. The idea of putting the videos up there is not to call guys out for being wrong. It's to look at things, and hopefully when you really see them on the field, we'll call them consistently. All right. stick checks. So I'm going to put the Kahoot thing back up there for a minute, and we're going to take a little quiz. So I will go back. Can everybody see the Kahoot screen now?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead and log into Kahoot, and I will be right back to start it. This will give everybody a chance to get in there. All right. Everybody in? I am going to warn you for the remainder of this part of the meeting, if you have anybody that should not hear profane language, you probably want to get them out of the room, because we had a couple incidents that were not good, don't look good on our group, and that's going to be the purpose of this whole thing. So I will, for those of you that are just listening right now, I'll kind of read the questions and you think about them, and let's see how we do. All right, so this is going to be on stick checks. The penalty for a deep pocket is, you have 20 seconds. A 3-minute non-releasable stick can be fixed. 1 minute non-releasable stick stays at the table. No penalty, stick just has to be fixed. And a 3-minute non-releasable and the stick can be fixed and used. Okay. So hang on, how do I get rid of this stupid thing here? There we go. All right, so the correct answer is the penalty for a deep pocket is a 1 minute non-releasable. Stick can be fixed and used in the game. Okay, that's a deep pocket. So when you look at it, you know, you can see light between the sidewall and the ball. Okay, they can fix that stick. They just serve a 1 minute penalty. All right. Good job, Chris. Next question. The penalty for not conforming to the legal dimensions is 3-minute non-releasable, stick can be fixed. 3-minute non-releasable, stick stays at the table. 1 minute non-releasable, stick stays at the table. 1 minute non-releasable, stick can be fixed and used in the game. Okay, so any of our measurements. All right, so that is good. 3-minute non-releasable, stick stays at the table. Anything that is a dimension. Who the hell's drawn on my screen? Is that you, Bennett? So anything that
I am not doing it.
Probably on your end. It's the bottom two answers. Half of the square is kind of cut off. We're not seeing. It's because of the Zoom. There you go. That's perfect. Thank you.
All right. I thought it was full screen. My bad.
Well, it's the Zoom taskbar is blocking a little bit.
Oh, okay. You can take that Zoom taskbar, and I don't know, you can't see mine, but take the green thing. There's a little arrow on it. Hit that. It'll go to the top. All right. Next question. The penalty for a stick that fails the rollout test is 3-minute non-releasable, stick stays at the table. 3-minute non-releasable, stick can be fixed. 1 minute non-releasable, stick stays at the table. 1 minute non-releasable, stick can be fixed and used in the game. So the ball gets stuck in the stick. That's failing the rollout. It would do that from a pinched head. It would do it from anything else. Okay. So that is the first one, the red one, 3-minute non-releasable, stick stays at the table. Okay. It can't be fixed, and it's not a 1 minute. All right. The penalty for not having a butt cap, an end cap. Okay, something that is made. So 3-minute non-releasable, the stick stays at the table. 1 minute non-releasable, stick stays at the table. 3-minute non-releasable, stick can be fixed. No penalty. Stick must be fixed before being used in the game. Very good. Okay. Anything end cap. Well, let me go to the next question first. The penalty for having hanging strings or leathers more than 2 inches. All the same options as before. Okay. That would be the same thing. No penalty. Stick must be fixed before being used in the game. I'm talking about, all right, if you look at the picture here, and I couldn't find a good picture because we've taken care of this, but any strings that are more than 2 inches hanging off of the stick, we're not talking about the shooting strings. We're talking about strings that are hanging off of the stick. Okay. That's the same as a broken stick. They can be fixed and the stick can come to the game, be returned to the game. Okay. If the same thing with the end cap, you know, anything, the head falls off, whatever, that the stick can be continued to be used. It just has to be repaired. If they decide not to repair it, then you can give them an unsportsmanlike. All right. Next one. Any additional strings, i.e. shooting strings, must be within how many inches of the top of the cross? 1 inch, 6 inches, 4 inches, 2 inches. Okay. 4 inches. Okay. I know guys get that confused again with the strings that are hanging. Okay. So shooting strings can be 4 inches. So, so this would be illegal because you have the V pocket. Okay. Or the U pocket. All right. We're talking about shooting strings that come across the top. They have to be within 4 inches from the top of the stick. Okay. And that is a 3-minute full-time penalty. All right. The only penalty that's not a 3-minute full-time stick stays at the table is a deep pocket. All right. So Hernandez, Nutter, and Flipty Dipty. Good job. All right. Now, why are we doing this right now? Let me go back and share my presentation, and we'll talk. All right. So I guess we had a couple of issues already, first 2 days of the season, where our officials botched up stick checks somehow. Okay. Penalized kids for the wrong things. Had the wrong ideas. The bottom line was we didn't know the rules. And I'm not, when it happens with one official, especially something as simple as a stick check, an illegal stick, if you get that wrong, that makes all of us look bad. And that's the one thing that's very hard to apologize for, because it's very clear in the rule book. We can go and we can all day defend you on your judgment. When coaches bitch and complain about your judgment and you didn't call a slash, you didn't call a push, you didn't call a hold, that's all judgment. But when you don't know the rules about a stick check, that's just really, really not a good thing. So I want to show this video. It's about 5 minutes. I will say one thing about the video when we get to it. I'll remind you, this is an old video. It's our good friend Gordon Cressetti. It's not the most exciting thing in the world, but it does go through the stick check process. It uses the old rules, where a stick, the minimum width at the widest part was 6.5. That's changed. I'll remind you when we get there. And it also does show sticks as being legal that have shooting strings that are lower than 4 inches. That's because the video is old. So, can everybody see the video? And can everybody hear the music?
I can see it. We can't hear it though.
All right, let me fix that. Hang on. All right. This is Gordon with his bowl cut.
So let's get started with a legal stick that meets all the required specifications for play.
Yeah, you're good.
So let's take a look at a legal cross and measure every aspect of this cross that we are supposed to measure. First off, we're going to measure the length of the head from the top of the plastic to the bottom of the plastic, the bottom of the throat, as we call it. So we're going to take our measuring tape, we're going to bring it down, and you'll notice that it meets greater than 10 inches at the bottom of the throat of the cross. So it must be equal to or greater than 10 inches long. So next we're going to measure the length of the cross from the very top of the plastic to the very bottom of the butt end. So it must be between 40 and 42 inches in length for a short stick. And you'll see here that it meets that criteria. It is between the 40 and 42 inches. This stick is currently legal. We have one more measurement to make, and that is in between, at the widest point, the inside measurement of the lacrosse stick on the head of the lacrosse stick. That must be 6.5 inches, at least 6.5 or greater for high school play, NFHS play.
Is now 6.
So we're going to do this. We're going to measure from the inside, and this meets our measurement, and exceeding it by a couple of quarters of an inch. So we'll measure here.
Notice on Gordon's tape, he's made those little marks to help him to remember.
Goes from the inside to greater than 6.5, and we use the 1 as a measurement, and we go to 7.5 here. Shows that it is a legal stick. So we've checked the measurements on this stick, and this stick so far is legal. Now we're going to check the pocket depth and the ball rollout. So first we're going to bring the stick up to eye level. We're going to take the ball, we're going to drop it. We're not going to force it into the pocket. We're going to drop it into the pocket, and we're going to look to make sure that the ball does not go below the plastic of the cross. So I'm going to show you here. This is a legal stick because you cannot see the entire ball beneath the plastic of the cross. So this stick right now is still legal. Finally, we're going to check the ball rollout. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring the stick to parallel, we're going to drop the ball back in, and we're going to roll the stick forward until the ball comes out. If the ball does not come out, that would be an illegal cross. But this ball is rolling out just fine. This stick meets all the required specifications for a legal stick in NFHS play or high school play. Now we're going to check an illegal cross. There are a couple different parts of this cross that make it illegal. I'm going to show each of them step by step. So first we're going to measure this cross. Once again, we're going to go from the top of the cross to the bottom of the plastic, to the bottom of the throat. Make sure it meets 10 inches, and this one meets 10 inches or greater. Next, we're going to measure from the top of the cross to the bottom of the butt end. And we're going to go all the way down, and we'll see here that this cross is shorter than the required range of 40 to 42 inches long. So this is already an illegal cross. Next up, we're going to measure the width, again the inside measurement at the widest point at the top of the head. We'll measure this here, and so far this part of the stick is legal, but we already have the illegal length measurement, and that's the one we would be enforcing. Now we're going to check the pocket depth and the ball rollout. So once again, I'm going to bring it up to eye level. I'm going to drop the ball into the cross, and this time I can see light over the top of the ball. The ball is completely beneath the plastic of the stick. I'm going to show you guys here. You guys can now see light over the top of that ball. You can see the entirety of the ball beneath the plastic of the cross. This would be a 1 minute non-releasable foul. So now, let's check the ball rollout. So again, we're going to bring the stick level, we're going to drop the ball in, and we're going to rotate the ball out. And this time, the ball is not coming out of the cross. This would be a 3 minute non-releasable penalty because the ball is not coming out of the cross. Now, here's a tip. Do not walk to the table with the ball stuck in the cross, because what happens is the ball may, during your walk, pop out, and now you have to explain to the coach, well, coach, the stick's illegal. He's going to say the ball popped out. So do not walk to the table with this ball stuck into the cross. Makes your life a little bit easier. So to wrap up, I'm going to do a stick check at game speed to show everyone how quickly you can get a stick check done and have the ball ready for play as soon as possible. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to measure the top of the plastic to the bottom of the throat. I'm going to measure the length of the stick. I'm going to measure the top of the width. From there, grab a ball, pop it into the pocket, check the pocket depth, roll the ball out. This stick is legal. We're good to go. That is how you conduct a proper stick check at the NFHS or high school level.
All right. So also, aside from being an older stick, it did show the hanging strings that were way too wide or way too long, and it showed something with a bad butt cap. So anyway, a couple things about stick checks. My opinion on stick checks is it's one part of the game where, yes, if you go to the rule book in 1- something, it tells us that we're supposed to do 2 equipment checks throughout the game, 1 per half, and it gives us a lot of precise measurements. The reality in my mind has always been that that's one thing that when we take a stick and then we penalize it, the perception is that it falls on us. So it better be an illegal stick. Kind of like what Gordon said. If that ball pops out as you're walking it over there, nobody's going to believe that it hung up in there. So don't be too good. If the measurements are very close, within 1/8 of an inch, I would recommend you let it go. It creates less problems later. If it's pretty close and it's obvious the guy hasn't tried to cheat or do something that's really, really bad, let it go. It's just a stick check. They're not getting a huge advantage, and it makes life for everybody easier. Know the rules. Okay, it's rule. I'll post it in an email so that I have the exact rule. But it's in. It's in Rule 4. It's like 4.12 or something like that. Actually, I can tell you real quickly because I'm looking on my app. So 427. Okay, illegal equipment requests for stick checks. So that's the rule. But make sure you understand when a stick is 3 minutes, when it's 1 minute, when it can be repaired, what parts of the stick are just allowed to be corrected. It'll make your life a lot easier. Stick checks in rainy conditions. I'll generally tell my crew we're not even going to do them, or we're going to do them very quickly, or we're only going to check measurements. Okay, when it's wet, when it's cold, and the weather's off, those pockets, the mesh bags out very badly. It stretches everything out. It makes the pockets deep, makes what would have been illegal, even as the game goes on, and it also can affect where the shooting strings are. So it's really not fair to penalize a guy for something that happened during the course of play because of the weather conditions. Face-off guys, and I know I'll get 5 emails from guys who don't agree with me. Generally, we try to avoid getting face-off player sticks. Certainly right after a face-off. I had a stick the other day where the guy got done with the face-off, and literally if this was the head of the stick, if this was the shaft, the head was bent like that. okay, and it was pinched and twisted from this kid fighting to get the ball. Never would have passed any test. It would have been too short, too wide, too long. The ball would have got stuck. But is that fair to penalize a team for something that happened in the course of play? You know, yes, certainly. I guess if the kid is playing the whole game and you check his stick, you check his stick. You know, I do my stick checks totally random. I don't go looking for a particular stick. I know the book says, you know, if you see a guy who does this, or, you know, you think something's illegal, you know, do that as part of your random stick checks. I'm more interested at times when I'm doing stick checks in watching the players, making sure I don't have a fight, something dirty, you know, something else bad happen. I grab the stick of the guy closest to me. Okay. The book says do one check per half. Well, if you do 2 checks in the first half and you have 2 halves, you've done 1 per half. Okay. Don't do any more than 2 stick checks per game. I would get them done in the first half. Then if you do have an illegal stick, the impact on the game, especially if it's close, is so much less. Then all of a sudden, you know, a team has to start man down for 3 minutes at the beginning of the fourth quarter in a 1-goal game. You know, I'd much rather get it done out of the way. You know, and avoid all those type of problems. So go back tonight, make sure you understand the rules. I hope the quiz helped and all that. Last thing about stick checks. So I guess, and this came in a game report and we got it from a coach. I don't really understand what happened. When you do an equipment check, you're checking 1 player from each team. Okay. That's all. And it can be a kid on the bench. It doesn't have to be a kid in the field, but you're checking him and the stick that he has. Okay. This is something you can discuss in your pregame, how you're going to do this. Okay. In a 2-man crew, it's fine just to say, hey, you know, JP, you get a stick from the blue guy, and, you know, Chris, you get a stick from the red guy. Okay. You do that for your 2 stick checks, you're done. The other way is whatever bench you're in front of at a timeout or in the quarter, you know, you get a stick from that bench. If you do that, you should get a stick from each team. When you get together, just say, hey, that's a red stick, right? That's a blue stick, right? Make sure that you have 1 stick from each team, okay? If you end up with 2 sticks from the same team and you're already together and the teams are together, stop your stick check. Nobody knows you didn't check them. Give them back. Don't penalize either stick. Don't go back and make something up and let the other coach pick a stick, you know, of the other team to check. There's nothing in the rules that support that, and you're putting yourself and the other team and the other coach in a terrible position. So make sure you know how you're going to get your sticks, when you're going to get them. Don't take sticks when you have flags down. Don't take sticks when guys are on the bench. Certainly don't take sticks when things are really heated. You got a coach jumping up and down and screaming, and you've had something just happen and you have a quick timeout, a stick check can wait. And you know what? If you don't get 2 in that game, you don't get 2. You know, they care more that you did too many stick checks than not enough. So with that, that's stick checks. Please, you know, make sure we don't, you know, we don't insert ourselves too much in the game, which is what the appearance is. The other thing that I always like to look at is the rule book is very clear. You know, each coach has opportunities for stick checks. They have opportunities to ask for a stick check, equipment check of the other team. Let them decide if they think a stick is illegal and if they want to do that. Now, I know it violates their code. You know, that's fine. But if it's important enough to them, they'll take care of it. One thing with that, too, there is a misnomer that coach can go over and point at any stick that's laying on the ground, laying on the bench, assistant coach is holding it, and ask for that stick. That's bullshit. Okay. When you take a stick, when a coach asks for a stick, he has to say a number and he gets the stick that guy is holding at that time. He doesn't get to pick another one. Okay. So if the face-off guy ran over and threw a stick on the ground and picked up another stick and is standing there holding it, and the coach asks for a stick check, that's the stick you check. You don't go pick one off the bench. You don't go in the trash can. You don't grab one from the assistant coach. The rule is very clear. All right. I had one more question. I want to look at it real quick. Coach asked for an equipment check on B1 as he suspects he's not worried. By the time he knows the request and find the player, B1 is at the bench. Okay, so the question I got was basically a kid's not wearing shoulder pads or doesn't have some piece of equipment on. You don't notice it. Coach A notices it, and he asks for an equipment check. By the time you get to the equipment check, the kid has his jersey off. He's putting a pair of shoulder pads on and all that. If he's got shoulder pads on, he's legal. You know, if they figured out he was going to do that check, that's fine. That's kind of to me a too bad situation. You know, by the time you get to him, if he's good to go, he's good to go. Does that make sense? I know it probably a lot of guys don't agree with that, but by the time you ask for the player and he's there putting the shoulder pads on, he's putting the shoulder pads on. Okay. Coach, sorry, you might be right, but I can only go same as the slash. I can only call what I see. I see a player with shoulder pads on. All right. I hate stick checks. Have you fucking figured that out? All right. How do I get to my next slide? All right. Pre-games.
Hold on, Greg. Since somebody asked about equipment, I want to say something.
Go for it.
There is gamesmanship between some of the better coaches out there. So if one of them asks for an equipment check, kind of along the same lines as the shoulder pads, and it's because he has a different color helmet, and it's the second quarter, the game's already started. We're not playing that game. It's my same speech I say every year. When you walk on the field, find an equipment violation on one team, whether it's a different color T-shirt, different color helmet, different color gloves, find it on one team, find it on the other team. We're good. We're playing. So when that coach comes to you in the second quarter and says he has a different color helmet on, you can say, yep, and your player has a different color T-shirt on. We're playing games. I'm not playing, we're playing the game. I'm not going back and forth with this silly stuff. Don't get into this, one-upsmanship with the coaches. They want to get over on the other guy. We're not there to be uniform police. We're not there. We're there to keep the kids safe and to call what we see. Just like Greg said, if he's putting his shoulder pads on, he's got shoulder pads on, coach. Let's play the game. Simple as that.
And hopefully, coach, you got to what you wanted, which is hopefully, coach, you got to what you wanted, which is now that player is safe, because I know we're all here for player safety. And what JP's talking about is uniform stuff, and literally once the game starts, all that kind of goes away. If a coach has an issue and goes ballistic on you, say, coach, we're not doing anything, call JP. He's the rules interpreter. He can explain it better to you. Okay, but again, don't get looped up into that. You could go on for 50 days with endless violations. And the big problem is if you penalize a team because a kid has a uniform violation, now consistently, for consistency, we should be doing every team. And then pretty soon it's like soccer and we're doing, equipment checks before the game. We line them all up and make sure they're wearing a cup, which I'm not doing. All right, pre-games. We've talked about this. Please make sure early in the season that you're doing this. Pre-games, I can't stress enough how important they are. Okay, a half hour, 45 minutes before the game, get there, get ready, and spend a few minutes talking about things. We have lots of new rules. We've thrown a lot of stuff at you on crew. We just had a big talk about sticks and stick checks, mechanics, all that kind of stuff. Talk about it. We spent a lot of time on it in meetings for a reason. It's super important. Before the game, okay, and I know I've gone through some of this, as you walk on the field, check it, okay, especially turf fields. What lines are our sidelines? What lines are our end lines? Today, I was on a field that literally had orange sidelines, a yellow midfield line that didn't, it went through the logo, but it was a different color as it went through the logo. It had kind of red boxes. It had yellow end lines, so that's important to know. It's also important to know, do they have a midfield line that you can see? Okay, check that as you walk on. Make sure that's good. That way, when you go and talk to the coach, you can identify issues you have, and you don't get trapped with not knowing the color of the lines when the game starts. The pregame is led by the referee. Let him do the talking. Sometimes the referee will say, "Do you guys have anything to add?" That's fine, but let the referee lead this stuff. It keeps it quick, clean, and less confusing. We're talking to coaches. We always have crew cards for our coaches. I want to talk to face-off guys. As the season goes on, you don't have to do the whole, this is what I'm doing, we're going down, we're saying set, listen to me, don't talk to your coaches. The big thing we want to see is what do they have for tape or a stick? And does it contrast? Is it legal? And do they have other shit? They'll show up with all kinds of stuff, sticky tape, some kind of cushiony tape that basically makes it like a motorcycle grip. We want to get that out before the game starts. So that's why we're meeting with face-off guys. Meet with the table workers. Make sure they know how to do everything, know how to count down penalty time, know what you're going to be doing. And it just isn't a pretty girl looking for a prom date. All right. Horn. And we talked about this in the emails, and we're going to enforce this from day one. Horn on the scoreboard or a handheld horn. And that handheld horn can be at the table or up in the press box with the timer. It's the referee's job to make sure it's there and at least it works before you start the game. Okay? As the season goes on with scoreboard horns, the head coach will confirm it. But as you want to check it before the game. Once the game starts, if they don't have a horn and you didn't check it, there's really nothing we can do. The only penalty we can give for not having a horn is at the start of the game. We can't all of a sudden in the fourth quarter say, oh, shit, they don't have a horn. Okay, no face-off, they start with the ball. That would really be bad. So make sure we're checking that. Continuous midfield line. You go to turf fields, coach, it's got to have a continuous midfield line. That's the rule. It's very specific. We need that for face-offs. We need that for offsides, and now even more for over and back. You get a slow roller coming back in the middle of a logo, you at least got to have something you can refer to. It doesn't have to be bright, okay? It doesn't even have to be visible from far away, but when you stand over it, there should be a line. As the season goes on, they wear out a little bit. Don't work a coach to death because you don't think it's bright enough, but it's got to have something, okay? Failure to have these at the start of the varsity game is a technical foul, okay? And we're doing that from day one. We've told them, we've warned them for years, and the only way we're going to get their attention and get some of these problems fixed, and they're important problems now because of rule changes, is to do that. So for a varsity game, start of the game, take it away. Give the ball to the other team. It's only for the first face-off. Then it's over, okay? If the horn fails in the middle of the game, okay, there's no penalty. But it has to work at the beginning of the game when you check it. Warn anything sub-varsity. So tell the coach they got to get it fixed. Okay, particularly if you do JV before varsity, make sure you tell the coach we got to get it fixed. Okay, include it in your game report, whether you did the foul or whether you just warned them. All right, so I hope that's clear. Some of the coaches with pretty logos aren't happy, but that's the rule, and we need it. We can't do our jobs without it. And finally, post games, don't stick around. Okay, I know some guys like to stick around and shake hands. If the game went well and on your way out the field, you're walking by a coach and you want to shake his hands, that's fine. But our mechanic is to leave together at the final whistle. Get your crew, get off the field. If it's your buddy who was coaching or something you knew him, that's fine. Talk to him later. Okay, but initially get off the field. Generally, nothing really great can happen. If you had big things that you're going to report, get together, talk about them. If you can't do it in the parking lot, get on the phone. But get your story straight for the referee for his game reports. Okay, we need a game report for every game. The referee fills it out. He's the only one. Okay, and here's the link so you can write it down. It's simple, tinyurl.com, DLOA game report. Okay, in there, we use it for our sportsmanship. It's very important for the sportsmanship award. But any unusual circumstances you had, certainly unsportsmanlikes, any field setup problems that you had, any penalties, weird things. If you had stick penalties, let us know you had stick penalties, because that's one thing the coach regularly wants to complain about. If we know you had a stick penalty and you did everything right, there's no problem. But we need to kind of know that was an issue. If you had security issues, you had a fan verbally assaulting you or chasing you off the field and there was nobody from the school around, let us know that. They're supposed to provide us security. And then the DIAA, unsportsmanlike conduct and ejection report. So in the past, we've always just sent stuff to Bill Caddy and had him fill it out. Chris, the game report for doubleheaders for the varsity game just mentioned the JV game. So let me back up to the DLOA report. If you have a doubleheader, the primary part of the game report is for the higher level game. But if you had a single middle school game, that's all you're going to do. If you have a single freshman game, that's all you're going to do. If you have an A and a B middle school game, it's primarily for the A, so on and so forth. Okay. All right. So reporting ejections and unsportsmanlikes. Okay. I will post the form. Bill wants us to fill out the form now. I'm going to make it. It's a PDF. I'm going to try to make it so you guys can type in it, fill it out, save it, and send it to Bill. Okay. But you need one for.
And
one.
me.
Hello?
And me.
And JP. Okay. So you would send it to both of them. And certainly, as we've always said, if you have an ejection, you had something bad happen, call JP as you get in your car. Because I guarantee you, as soon as that coach has the last kid get on the bus and go home, he's probably going to call. Okay. And it's better to be ahead of it. And, he's 100% going to defend you, particularly when the coach did something wrong, and so make sure we're doing that. But that form will be on the website tomorrow. Make sure you link it. You have to fill this form out for each unsportsmanlike and each ejection. So if you had 5 unsportsmanlikes, you're filling out 5 forms. Okay. You have to write a narrative of what happened. And that's part of getting the story straight. I did post in one of the emails a nice article about how to fill out a report, what to write, what not to write, so on and so forth. We fill out these forms for any ejection: coach, player, athletic trainer, table worker, anybody you eject. Yes, somebody from our group ejected a table worker once. True story. All right, so any ejection that we have to do. Any unsportsmanlike conduct or a time-serving conduct foul on the head coach has to be reported. He has a cumulative penalty that he has to serve if he gets a certain amount. Okay, so any of those we have to report. So you'll fill out the form, you'll forward it on to Bill and to JP, and then Bill will forward them on to the DIAA. Okay. If he needs anything else from you, he'll send it back and you'll have to redo it. They need to be done before you go to bed that night. Okay?
Greg,
Yes.
Even if it's an out-of-state team and player, you may not be able to get the name of the player, but you have to get the number. And if it's the head coach or the assistant coach, no, I don't expect you to run over and ask the assistant coach's name, but just make sure you know it was the assistant coach that, was wearing a hat. Just try and get some brief description of him. If it was the head coach, be positive that it was the head coach. If it's a player, make sure that you have the correct number. I still have to report it to the out of state. I will probably just contact the school. That's what I had to do this weekend. I just contacted the school. I sent the email, and within 5 minutes, the principal got back to me, so that was taken care of, those of you that were involved in that game. But Bill Caddy, if you're on here listening, that's how we're going to handle it. We're still going to have them fill it out and send it to you, send it to me. If it's out of state, I am going to contact the school and send it to the principal and the athletic director if it's out of state.
Yep. And then one other thing, just when you have issues where you have to get players' names and numbers. Okay. Like JP said, certainly we want to have their numbers. Okay. Don't make a big deal of walking to the table to get a player's name at any point. All right. We want to get them if you can, but do it at the right time. So, if you ejected a kid or you had unsportsmanlike in the first quarter, at halftime, just walk up, ask the kids to see the book, look up that name, get that name. Okay. Use the table workers. Hey, what's the assistant coach's name? Be cool about it. One good way to sometimes when you eject a kid to get the name is, the referee is over there handling the team, making sure the player is safe. Where is he going to go? What's he going to do? If you're the umpire and everything is settled and the players are at their benches, walk over and get the name then. Write it on your card. But certainly get the number of the player. If that's all we end up with, we can find the name. And like JP said, describe the coach, the assistant coach. Hopefully we don't have a lot. Hopefully, we're talking to these guys well and we can talk them off the ledge and we don't have to have a ton of ejections, but unfortunately we have to talk about it. Mark did ask, yeah. So Bill is saying, and it goes with this bottom part here, we're only reporting on sportsmanlikes on head coaches. We're not reporting them on players unless the player's ejected. And then Mark Gelsomini also asks if on a player we have one of these, we're not reporting on players. There's a few penalties now that are kind of team penalties that are non-releasable on sportsmanlikes. We're not going to report those. Okay, they fall into a different class. The big one there is the one where you run over the coach. I think that's a non-releasable. And I think the one where the second time they put a kid in the goal that's not the goalie, I don't think we've ever had that. But if it's one of those classes that's non-releasable, we don't have to report those. All right. A couple situations that I wanted to talk about. I didn't get a whole lot of situations. I just wanted to talk about signaling real quick. And I want to put up, if I can, I want to put up just a field real quick. Because I noticed in the scrimmages I saw, our guys did a nice job. Our mechanics looked good. Guys were getting to the spot. I also want to thank everybody that helped, especially helped our applicants with the scrimmages that they did. I think they're ready. We got a bunch of good guys. Please continue to help them out. But when I worked with them at the very last play day on Wednesday, these guys were ready and they were asking good questions and we're good. So anyway, I noticed one thing in a couple of the ones I saw. And I wanted to just go over that. So, all right, can everybody see my field here?
Hold on, Greg. I want to make sure you said non-releasable. If he jumps into the crease, it's a releasable unsportsmanlike conduct.
Right.
Foul.
Yes.
Releasable. If he jumps in the crease the second time, it's releasable.
Correct.
Please understand that. Hopefully we won't have it, but if he jumps in the first time, it's a conduct foul. If anybody jumps in a second time, it's an unsportsmanlike conduct, but it's releasable. That's all.
Okay. Yes, if I misspoke that, we're not reporting the releasable, fouls, and that. Okay. So what I noticed is we have a little bit of a communication issue going on, particularly with counts. And I went over this in the applicant meeting. And I want to go over it here and make sure we kind of understand, because now that over and back is here, it's super important. And I can't really draw. I was having problems drawing on my screen before because I kept losing my mouse. So let's just say our lead is here. There's a save. So he's going to, all right, first to note that there's possession. And all it is a reset signal, okay? So if you can see me, I'm holding my hand up and I'm twirling my hand or my finger. At the same time, I'm setting my timer, and then I'm starting my 4 count. But I wanted to note I have that 20-second timer going. Okay, that's really important for this guy to know that there's a change of possession. It doesn't have to be in the crease. It can be back here. But you have a change of possession, you know, and you can verbally yell reset. Okay, it's the same thing we're doing in college with the shot clock, but we just want to get it. Can everybody see my field here? JP, you can see my field?
Yes.
Yeah, I can see it.
All right. Another signal. So we have the 20 seconds. So this guy who was the old trail is now down here. He's going to be responsible for the 10-second count when we get across the midfield line. But we have a play here where the ball gets loose and it bounces around, and then somebody picks it up here, but he has no way of knowing when they possessed it here. So all I want our trail to do here is just hold his hand up for a second, you know, and let the guy know, hey, I got it. If he doesn't yell play on, we're good. Okay? He's got possession. You can start your 10 count. Or just start a 10 count. Okay, that's fine. He'll pick it up and he'll finish it. Everybody understand that? Then finally, and this is the one we're missing, and this is where it can lead to problems. So, the new lead's down here, and he's counting, and this guy steps in the box and steps out. Okay, and then all of a sudden, he passes back here, but he misses the pass, and it goes back here. This guy, who's responsible for over and back, he has no idea that guy stepped in the box. Okay, so it's very important when we have the ball or a player touch the box that we get our hand up and we point into the box. Okay, and echo it. You know, even with 2 guys, echo it, mirror it. If you don't think the guy saw it, do it a couple times till he sees it. Okay, it's really important. It's important, especially in this alley, so this guy knows for over and back. It's important for this guy to do it in this alley, so this guy knows to end his count. And it's simple. Hand up, hand in. Hand up, hand in. Do it a couple times, and if it happened quickly, just hold it there for a second. That tells everybody he was in the box. Are there any questions about that? Mike, you were subpoenaed in the Mueller report? The hell is that? I always knew you were like that, but there was no collusion. All right. So that was just one important signal. The other important signal just was the wing official letting the face-off official know that we're ready for play. You know, that's very important. This way, the face-off official can talk to the face-off guys, answer questions. When everything's ready, he puts his hand down, he starts the face-off. That way we don't end up in a situation where a team starts, you know, all of a sudden you're doing a face-off and they've only got 2 defensemen. Now the team is screwed. Do I send the guy out there real quick and hope he makes it before the face-off starts? It puts us in a bad spot. The guy's running to the box. The face-off's going this way, but you got to call him for being out of the box early. So that's an important communication. Everybody got it? All right. So with situations, are there any other questions, situations you saw, questions you have before I move on to 3-person mechanics? Everybody's good? All right. Let me close this. And I'm going to go through a 3-person mechanics PowerPoint. There's some videos in here. If the videos are choppy here, I'm sorry. On the recording, they won't be choppy. Can everybody see the 3-person mechanics on the screen?
Yes.
Okay. So this 3-person mechanics, we are trying more and more and more to do more games with 3-person mechanics. We're limited by a couple of things. One of them, believe it or not, is not the willingness of the schools to pay for it. We've sent out emails for the last few years. We didn't do it this year, and we're not gonna. But for 2 years before that, we said, look, some games we're going to assign 3-person mechanics. If you do not want 3-person mechanics, let us know now. We won't assign it. One school said they don't want 3-person mechanics. Generally, we're doing it for the varsity only. We don't need it for a JV game. But, we want to get more and more guys involved in 3-person mechanics. It's what we use in the playoffs. Hopefully, as we get more and more officials, we can do it for every game. We'll find a lot of these 3-person games added several days before the game, just so that JP can make sure that we have all the games covered with at least 2 people, and then we'll add a guy for 3-person mechanics. If you're interested in moving up, both in our group and doing higher level games, you got to know 3-person mechanics. If you're interested in going beyond that, you have to be very good at 3-person mechanics. Okay, so I want to take a few minutes and go over it. What I'll say is, if you haven't been a playoff official in the past and you're interested in learning 3-person mechanics, contact JP, let him know. He'll try, as we move forward, to get you in some 3-person games where with some guys that can work with you, because we don't want to have a guy out there who's just running around in circles, doesn't know what's going on, but we want guys that can help you, point you in the right direction, and make it. So if you're interested, let JP know. Try and get you in a few games as the season goes on. That's good for you because you're learning it. It's good for us because it's more guys who are ready to do playoffs and other things. All right. So 3-person mechanics. Again, like all of our mechanics, it's all about positioning. Okay. Of course, 3-person mechanics, you got an extra person on the field, the extra eyes, the number of eyes you got on the field goes up by 33%. Okay. Hopefully you're catching more stuff. We're getting into position quicker. We have better field coverage. We're actually covering field in a triangle. This helps us make sure that we're dealing with safety and fairness in a better way. Certainly we catch more late hits in 3-person mechanics than we do in 2-person mechanics. Consistency. Okay. It's so much easier to be consistent in a 3-person game than it is a 2-person game. So let's talk about the different positions. Of course, in 2-person, you have a lead and a trail. In 3-person, you have a lead. Okay. The lead is always on the bench side. So we talk about, just for vocabulary, bench side, and this side over here, away from the benches, we would call the single side or the far side. Okay. So this is the bench side. The lead is always on the bench side. And his standard position in settled offense is where the lead is in 2-person. Okay, he's got the goal. What's he responsible for? He's responsible for the goal, the crease, all of that. He's responsible only for this end line. Okay, he's not responsible for a sideline now. He's responsible for the end line when they're the lead. Okay, those are the big things. So kind of, when we talk about, you're the lead, you have the goal. Here you can actually really have the goal, because you got 2 other guys taking care of all the other stuff. Okay, so those are the big things that we're taking care of. The single side official. Okay, and this is the single side is about here in a settled offense. Okay, so this would be about 5 to 10 yards off the crease on a football marked field. I forget what yard line it's on, but you kind of want to get in here. You might be a little bit more outside than the lead guy, but you're moving with him, and you're up close to the goal, so you can help with the goal, but you're primarily responsible for the shooter. Okay, so you shouldn't, unless the goal is right in front of you, you shouldn't see the ball go in. You have this whole sideline down here. That's your responsibility. Okay. You have all the counts. So when we do 3-person in Federation, the single side has the 30. He does his reset when there's possession, and he has the 10. And you'll see why when we get into transition, why it's so much easier just to have the single side do it. Okay, it takes everything off the other guys and lets them do their job. One guy has the counts. You don't have to worry about possession at the midfield line or none of that. Okay. He also has a quick count for the first offsides, and you'll see in transition why he would have that count, especially in a slow transition. Okay. The trail. All right. And the trail is right here. So he's pretty much in the same spot he would normally be in, except he's always on the bench side. So we have two guys on the bench side and one guy on the far side. He has the shooter, okay? And the trail has this big wide picture all the time. He's got the widest angle, the widest view. Shooter, and this should say shooter and passer. The nice thing about having two guys is you can stick with a passer, and make sure he doesn't get hit, and then you move, to the next spot. You have more time to make sure none of this nonsense happens. He is responsible for this entire sideline. So he calls any ball out of bounds on this sideline is his responsibility. And he's also responsible for this far goal because he is going to be the new lead. Okay. And he's got the over and back responsibilities. Okay, so when a ball comes bounding out here, he gets back, straddles this line. He's got over and back. He's got offsides. He's got illegal procedures, all of that kind of nonsense. So those are the big major jobs. Everybody's still a referee. Everybody's still got penalties and all that, but you have much more specific responsibility. The trail also has I kind of call it the second offsides count. So once transition has kind of happened, he's counting players, making sure we got the right number. Also, in certain transition, he's got a good view of the sub box, so he can see when a guy's in and out and all that kind of stuff. All right. And JP, bang in here if I'm missing anything, okay?
Yep.
All right. So here's our settled offense. Okay. Here's our far side. Here's our bench side. Our singles here, our leads here, our trails here. Okay, and we're going to talk about on and off responsibilities and how the ball moves. Okay, so this player, midfielder, has the ball, okay, and he is going to pass it or throw it down here, all right? When he does that, the single is going to pinch in a little bit because now the ball is down here. The lead is going to sink back so he can see the back of the crease, and the trail is just going to kind of move here in case we have anything at the sideline. All right. So everybody moves, ball goes, and we're all kind of moving in tandem. So now the lead kind of has the back of the goal. The single, he sunk in, but he also has he can help here on the goal because this guy's so far behind. All right. So he's the on guy, the single. The lead has all this, and the trail has the wide view. If you're confused, don't be afraid to chime in. All right. With that, now this midfielder is going to pass the ball, or he's going to run over to where the lead is. All right. The single is going to move in even closer, okay, because the lead's going to get pulled way out. All right. And one thing we never want to have happen in any of our mechanics is the lighthouse effect. So we want him out here because we don't want the ball to get past here, or else he's spinning around like a lighthouse. Does that make sense? I can't really do it. My camera's not big enough. But and then the trail, he's going to move a little closer because play's getting closer and there's more likely to have an out of bounds. So the ball moves. Everybody moves. He's going to stay a good 5-10 yards behind the ball, whatever you're comfortable. We've got good goal coverage. We've got good sideline coverage. Okay. So the single's looking there. The lead is our unofficial. Whoever's yawning, turn off your fucking microphone. And the trail has the big picture. Okay. So this way now we've got the ball, we've got the crease in the goal, and we got all the BS that's going to happen here. Okay. We got very, very good coverage. Now this guy is going to dodge towards the goal. With him coming this way, the single's going to back out because probably with this guy moving, 3 other guys are going to move this way to clear out. They're going to clear their defenders out, and they're going to move out. The lead is going to follow this play in because he's got to see what happens to this guy. Who's got their microphone?
Seriously, somebody is yawning. Turn your microphone off.
It's freaking Gelsomini all the time. There. All right. And the trail is going to move over this way. And, because the play is now moving this way, he wants to get over here for coverage. So here's what happens. The lead now is here. He's got the single, has all the nonsense that happens up here with these players. The lead has the goal, the crease, the ball. And we got the big wide picture here. Look at that coverage there. See where it all overlaps? Try and get away with anything there. Okay. Now he got denied. He's going to throw the ball up that way. The single is going to come back in because everything's moving that way. The lead's going to move out a little bit because some players are going to move out. The trail is going to back out. The main reason the trail is going to back out is what if he misses the pass? What if the ball gets loose? He's got to get here for over and back. He's got to get here in case the guy steps over the line. He's also got to get back and out of the way in case something happens and the ball goes upfield. So everybody moves. All right. And now the single has all the nonsense in front. The lead has the wide picture. And the trail has the ball and everything else. All right. So let's just look at what that kind of looks like. These videos sometimes don't really show it, but wait a minute. Okay, so the ball gets moved up top. Lead's moving in. Single's moving back. All right. He's getting in to follow the play. And watch their hat brims and see everything they look at. Okay. All right. It's not the greatest angle, but see the trail moving in. So this is actually the lead on this side. The single had that end line. He called that shot out of bounds. All right. So let's talk for a minute about when goals are scored. So in our 2-person, what happens is the lead gets the ball, jogs it up, gives it to the trail. He does the face-off, and the lead comes here. All right, we do things a little bit differently. So when the goal is scored left, so as you're facing away from the benches to the left side, the lead is going to run in and get the ball. The single, he has a huge job here. And this is what I really like about being in a 3-person crew is he's got everything that happens here. So when the offensive player celebrates too much and the defensive player gets in his face or takes a whack, he's watching. He's getting the ball. He's right there. And chances are none of that stuff's going to happen because there's a presence. All right. So they're going to come in. The lead's going to get the ball. The single is right here. The trail is still watching. Okay. The lead is going to grab the ball and he's going to run up here. We're not jogging. We're not walking. We're running just over the line. Okay. And kind of on the far side of the faceoff dot. The single is kind of working his way up here. Okay. And he's going to be the new guy here running left. And this guy's going to come back. Okay. So when they all move, we now have new names for our players. Okay. We have face-off guy. We have, this is kind of lead left. Okay. And he's called lead left because he's the lead to the left. And they called this guy the wing official. You can also call him the lead right because he's going to run to the right. All right. When we do our face-off, when we have a goal scored to the other side, our rotation is going to be a little bit different. All right. So the lead still goes in and gets the ball. The single still watching for bullshit. Okay. They go in. The only difference here is where they end up. So when you had a goal scored right, the lead still runs up, okay, but he's not going to cross the line. He's going to go to here. The single is going to come across the field through all the players, come to this wing, and the trail is going to back up. So when we're done, we now have a face-off guy, we have a lead left, and we have a wing who's also our lead right. All right. So I don't know why it went so fast. So let's see if in this video we can see kind of what happens. So the guy's coming around the crease. He scores. Our lead runs in. He signals goal. The single is coming up there and he's watching. And depending on the game, you can come into the middle or you can kind of come up past them. All right. And the former lead has started his sprint up to the top. The trail is also back here and you can't see him, but he's watching here. And then he's kind of going to turn, check with the coaches, listen for a timeout, make sure nothing crazy is coming. Okay. So, and then when we come back, we're going to come to our face-off spots. Any questions? All right, good. So face-off. So in this face-off, the ball is going to come to the lead left official. All right. And I'll get back. Well, I tell you, while I'm here right now, let's talk for a minute just about face-offs. The face-off official is in charge of the face-off. He conducts the face-off. So the same as in your two-person mechanics, he's there, okay? He's giving all the commands. If he has to move sticks, they're moving the sticks, putting them right. He's putting his hand on the stick, saying set. He's backing out and blowing his whistle. He's backing out left, and he's going to become the single. The lead left is kind of the face-off helper. So he's going to help with the face-off, okay? He's going to watch and make sure he can either come up here and look down the line or just watch and make sure that, especially the guy on this side, that his hand is down, he's not on the line, and all that. Let the face-off guy take care of neutral zone and all that. Once we start the face-off, he's going to stay close, okay, as close as he can get without getting hurt from somebody coming here. And he's watching primarily the face-off guy here who's facing this way. He's looking for early movement. He's looking for holds. He's looking for all the same violations, okay? But he doesn't touch sticks, and this guy is in charge, okay? The wing official is watching both wings, same as in two-person. So once the face-off is conducted, the ball comes this way. Okay, the lead left, he's got to sprint and get outside the play and get over to here. If the play is way over here, don't try and run through play. Stop for a second, let the play get there, and loop around. The face-off guy is now the single side. He's coming to his spot, and the trail is going to come to his spot. Okay, as you do this more, the trail might kind of come here and watch substitution and offsides. But initially, he's going to come to his spot. So just like that. And now we have our nice triangle. We have everybody there. So let's see how this looks. So notice, here's our face-off guy. He's going to become the single. He just told him everything's good. He's looked back, made sure he's safe. And we're good. Okay. I want to show you one thing because there is a bad part of this video. All right. So this guy is doing a good job. This guy is way too far out. Okay. By the time look where he is by the time the face-off actually happens. And he never stops moving. Okay. Where I've been taught you should be, he should be about here when the face-off happens. And the reason I would want him here is, and I would be looking over my shoulder. Okay, I have a wing guy here. This is as far as I can be and keep myself safe, but still have a good view into here. Okay, then once the face-off happens, I'll back up and get to my spot. If I hear, you know, I'm 6, 7 yards away. If there's a hold, if there's something goofy, I'm not going to see it. I'm leaving this guy all by himself. All right, everybody understand that? All right, let's look at our next one. So this time the face-off's going to come to the right. It's going to come towards the wing official. Everything's the same with the face-off. All right, the face-off guy becomes the single. Now the lead left becomes the trail. The wing guy or the lead right becomes the lead. The ball comes that way. He comes down. He comes down. He comes over here. Okay, we want to get over and have the sideline, but we don't want to run right in and be in trouble and in the middle of play. Okay, and we're right there. And so he'll stay here until the ball comes in, then he'll come down. All right, the key is we want field coverage, but we want you to be safe. So here's the same thing. All right, unfortunately in the video you really can't see the wing guy, but hopefully it opens up. All right, so everybody moves, and by the time the ball gets in, our new lead is down here in position. All right, so if you notice, he looks for a second at the guy there and see where he is now. He's out of the way, but he's only 5 yards away. So that's good coverage. All right. All right, crease play. So in 3-person, the nice thing is you have a lot more coverage of the crease to see pushes, crease, things like that. So when the ball comes here, the single and the lead both crash in with him, okay? So we're coming in. At this point, since the play is coming this way, the lead, of course, he's got the ball, but he's also got crease responsibilities. This guy, especially if he's being defended, he's got his back. So if the play is coming towards you, you've got feet in the crease. If it's going away from you, you've got the back. Okay? Why did this do this? All right, so in this video, everybody's coming in, and we both come in. All right, same thing from the other side, except we're going behind. All right, now we're coming back. The single's going to come back a little bit to kind of have this line here. All right, and we're going to come back. Now he's got the goal. He's got what's behind. All right, let's watch the video. Comes behind. And we end up with great coverage. Okay. All right. Any questions up to this point? All right, settled clears. All right, settled clears. So we got something deep. The trail has the whistle. Notice where the single side guy is. He's right on the pylon here. Okay, and this is optimal because now he's got everything that happens here. The lead is in good position, and the trail can follow the play up. This gives him, this is where that first offsides comes because he can keep track of how many players are on each side very easily. All right. So this guy brings the ball up. The trail is going to follow him. As the play comes up, the lead is going to work towards his goal. Okay. So in reality, this is what we have. Now, the trail, you always want to stay behind the ball, particularly if it's contested. And I would say 5 or 10 yards, depending on the game and what's been happening. Because the worst thing that can happen is you get up here, All of a sudden, he throws it back. You have a bad pass. The guy picks it up, and you have something happen here, but you're standing here. And our purpose is good field coverage. So this guy doesn't have to hurry coming up. He can follow the play up very nicely. All right. So here's our kind of slow thing. All right. He's following the play up. Following. All right. This guy has the ball. Nice slow transition. Got a guy on the cone. All right. We had a turnover. Look where he's right there with the play. Good coverage. Okay. Fast breaks are a little bit different. All right. So we had a turnover right here. This guy's going to pick up the ball. All right. This is not a settled clear. It's fast. He's going to run very hard. Okay. This guy, anticipating the ball on the ground, has already started. He's going to his goal. All right. The single is going to just blow through the cone. Once play is past the cone, there's no reason to stop at the cone. And the trail is going to follow the play up and get to his spot. So, boom. Our objective here is to get our two guys down to the goal as quick as we can. All right. Then once it comes up, he passes the ball, he follows it, and he steps in. And we now have settled offense. And this is what it looks like. Except you shouldn't get beat, even by a 17-year-old kid. So, and here we are. We had good coverage on that play. Okay, I'd like to see him run in a little bit harder when the play came on the crease, but we've got our guys there. And this is the fun of the single, because in a lot of games, especially poor quality games, that poor single is running back and forth and back and forth. See, he's going back again. So this is where you get in shape. All right, penalty relays. We're almost done. Okay, a little bit easier here. We're always relaying to the trail because the trail is always right here by the table. So the lead had a flag down. Play stops. He's going to relay it, not always directly here because this guy's got to know. So he's going to C-note. Here's the penalty. The trail's going to come up, get to the midfield line, all right, close enough to the table. He's going to give the penalty. This guy is going to get the ball out, get ready for play. This guy's going to get his flag, tuck it in his belt, look nice and neat. These two guys are going to be talking about when the penalty's going to come out. Everybody's going to get back to their spots. He's going to go to the box. And within 15 seconds, we're ready to start play. Everybody understand that? Or do I need to do it again? All right. Now, I did go a little fast. Certainly, this guy shouldn't really start the penalty until we have the guy at least coming into the box. So we know we got the right guy. But the point is, the ball's out here ready for restart. We're ready to go. All right. Be this guy. There's no sound. I don't know why there's no sound. Okay, so he relayed it. Mr. Buchanan, nice and clear. You don't even need to hear it to know what happened. Okay. And this guy you heard from last week, he's got a very deep Massachusetts accent. All right, so nice and clear and good. We don't have to watch each of them. Let me look at. All right.
Question.
Go.
We're doing federation rules. We're not doing NCAA rules.
That's correct.
So usually what I do on the single side is I hang out at the pylon and start my 10 count and wait for the guy to step in case the ball goes down and goes the other way. So I'm doing both counts. I got the beeper, and that makes me know that he's coming over the line because I can see it, and then I got the 10 because I can see him stepping in.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, Harvey. When, especially, let me go back. So this is particularly on our slow break, right? So go back to the slow break here. What Harvey's saying is he's got both counts. So he's getting here. He knows exactly when the ball crossed the line with possession. But if this player, you know, he's going to follow him in slowly with his 10 count. Okay, you don't have to, once you're on this cone, just because he comes in, don't run to your spot. You can kind of jog your way in as the play comes in. And you have both counts. And it's easy for you to tell exactly when they had possession on this side. Your counts are nice and clear and consistent. Is that your point, Harvey?
Yeah. That was my point because, you know, well, now in the NCAA, you don't have any count at all. But last year, you had 30. So, you know, it didn't matter. But I always stand there to make sure the guy makes it over because I'm the only guy that's watching it. Nobody else is watching it.
Yep. No, that's the point of having him do it is everybody else can have other responsibilities. So that's great. One thing back on C-Note, and I'm just going to mention this. They are now, I guess, changing some of the mechanic with C-Note at higher levels where when we report to the bench, there's no reason to give the numbers side. Nobody knows what the hell we're talking about, okay? That's fine for us on a windy day across the field because we know what we're talking about. But that 16-year-old girl has no idea why you're moving your fingers all around. So it's better when you give your C-Note, basically white 21/1 minute. That's white 21. Be very specific and verbal. Then everybody knows exactly what you're talking about. They're not confused by your fingers. Okay. So we're still using C-Note on the penalty relay to each other. All right. Fights real quickly in 3-person. The nice thing here is you get 2 guys trying, again, not to break up the fight, but 2 guys running into the fight and being a presence. So in a fight, the trail, you have a fight. All right. These guys don't like each other. Somebody stole his girlfriend. The single comes in, okay? And again, I'm not saying go in and get in the middle, but get there and let them see your stripes. The trail is going to come back, and he's going to freeze the benches. The lead is going to come in, blowing his whistle, and be a second presence, okay? So it all kind of looks like this. All right, he's going to make himself big and freeze, keep nobody from coming. This guy here, that's where you start taking numbers. Okay, this guy's still trying to work with everybody, blowing his whistle, throwing his flags. All right. This guy can kind of worry about who the numbers are that's involved. This guy, anybody goes by him, take note of who it is. All right. Let's see. It's always nice to see a good fight. It's a great uniform the guy's got with the white socks, Gordon. Good video. So that guy didn't like what happened. This guy didn't like your mama, your mama, your mama. And these guys are in there clearing it up. All right, I don't see where the trail is. All right, he ends up, this is not a good video. This is not what we want to do for a fight, but it's entertaining. All right, no one freezes the benches. Now we got mom and dad on the field. This guy just said something to the referee. All right, not good control. So there's a reason why we're doing control on these fights. So that's it for 3-person. Again, if you have questions about 3-person, if you're interested in working some 3-person, let JP know. As he can, he'll get you on them. It's not for applicants, and if you're not ready, I think we'll kind of tell you right away, you're probably not ready. Most of our guys, though, who worked last year, getting in and doing a little bit of 3-person mechanics can only help us. So, JP, you have anything on that?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Anything else for the good of the order? All right. Well, that concludes our meeting. The recording will be up tomorrow. The minutes will be up in a couple days. I'll put the 3-person presentation up with the videos as well. Keep following the crew app with our You Make the Calls. And if you have any rules discussions that you want to make, certainly, if you want to make those offline with JP or myself first, or you want to put them up for everybody, that's fine. Hopefully that'll be a good communication tool for us. Don't hesitate to ask questions, fill out your reports, and most of all, have fun. So have a good night. Hopefully I see you guys soon somewhere on some field.